Willie Sandry, the Thoughtful Upholsterer, and today I'll be setting up the quintessential upholstery machine, the Consew 206RB-5, and pairing that with a nice digital servo, a CSM 3001, which gives you a great option of a needle position sensor. Let's get into that box and check out some of the goodies as we put this unit together. The accessories are boxed up top, and down below the head is nicely protected in styrofoam. Everything comes nicely organized. You've got a bobbin winder, thread stand, your hand wheel, belts, knee lift, oil drip pan, and some bobbins and accessories that come with the kit. I've always subscribed to kind of a mock-up approach where you lay the table loosely on the leg set and clamp it in place. But another good option is to flip the table over and assemble everything from the top side, whichever way works best for you. Oftentimes the 206RB-5 will come with a CSM 550-1. This is a 550 watt servo motor. It's got an analog dial there to help you control the maximum speed. Super simple to install. Just add it with 3 carriage bolts to your table and manage the wires. Today I'll be adding a CSM 3001, which is a digital brushless servo. The motor comes in 2 pieces, and then there's a separate controller here. It's got great speed control, and it gives you the option of a needle position sensor. And at 750 watts, it's got a little more power than a typical servo. There's a couple things to pre-assemble before you put your motor together, and this L-bolt is one of them. So assemble it just like this with the jam nuts, washers, lock washer, and protective cap. And this also needs to pass through this bolt here that's drilled to receive it. And that will go through the bracket on the back of your motor, and then we'll add the smaller flat washer, lock washer, and acorn nut. Let me flip that around so you can get a better look at this bolt. And what you need here is the large bolt, lock washer, flat washer on one side, followed by 5 washers used as spacers. And the reason we need to pre-assemble some of that is because this L-bolt needs to find its way into that hole as we thread the 2 pieces together. And we'll tighten up the bolts enough to keep them from coming loose, but we still want to have that range of adjustment to tighten up the belt later. Seat the carriage bolts into the table with a hammer, and the hardware will be oriented like this. These are actually vibration dampeners. They're situated like this, and they'll go between the table and the motor, flat washer, lock washer, and nut. And if you leave the nut off of this side for now, you can just slide it in place and then attach that last nut. And be sure to visually center the motor pulley in the slot of the table before you tighten up those bolts. Mounting the controller is next, and that'll just go right here with 2 screws. Carefully manage your wires under the table with the included nail clips, or what I prefer to do is use clips like this that attach with screws. In addition to the power supply wires, there's a couple of other wires that also need to head towards the controller. These 2 from the motor, and this one from the pedal switch. Now the receptacles in the controller are all distinct, so you really can't do that wrong. Just plug in the corresponding wire and make sure to keep those wires well clear of any moving parts. And your wiring should look something like this under the table once you're all buttoned up. Press the hinge cups in place, and you can secure those with some tacks if you like. Then for the part you're probably most interested in, the head. Oh yeah, they've got my baby nicely wrapped up. Drop in the corner bumpers and secure those with tacks. Drop in the hinges and lift the head in place. And we want to position that oil drip pan so the opening for the knee lift is centered on this roller. Usually I'll give myself a mark for locating the oil drip pan about a ½ inch from the bottom of the table. And just tack in that oil drip pan. You might want to angle your tacks up slightly so you don't come out the bottom of the table. And looks like that'll align just right for us. This is how your knee lift is assembled. Take this under the table with a Sharpie marker and position it so that this finger articulates with the roller on the bottom of the head. Once you have that positioned correctly, go ahead and pre-drill your holes and install it with the included screws. Now generally I will only recommend sewing machine oil for lubricating your machine, but here's one rare exception. A dab of general purpose grease really helps the knee lift work smoothly. And this is just a simple stop to limit the arc of motion on your knee lift. And you'll know you have that knee lift set correctly when you can raise it by hand and drop it down with the knee lift. Looks just right. And just for reference, this is what mine looks like when you actuate the knee lift. And just a look at how that normally can operate. Raises and lowers the presser foot with the knee lift alone. Presser foot's up by hand, and you can drop that down with the knee lift. And if you're happy with the treadle rod position and the operator position, go ahead and permanently secure the top down to the leg set. Install the hand wheel so that one of these set screws aligns with the V-ditch on the top of the shaft. And as you tighten that up with a kind of a narrow flat screwdriver, just kind of let it find the bottom of that V-ditch right there, and we'll snug that into position. You'll know that you have it positioned correctly if the dot on the hand wheel aligns with the dot on the head casting at the same time that the take-up arm reaches its top position. Remember to tighten up that second set screw on the hand wheel as well. And you can also add the retaining bolt on the end of the hand wheel assembly. Don't go crazy on this one, just snug it up. And it's nice to know that the 206RB-5 already comes with the correct style of hand wheel to accept the needle position sensor if your servo motor uses that sort of accessory. Tip your machine back to add the belt, and mine came with a 40-inch belt, but since I'm actually running the CSM 3001 motor, mine works better with a 43-inch belt. Set the V-belt so it deflects slightly under moderate pressure, and add your bobbin winder just here. Make sure the wheel is centered on the drive belt and is in this retracted position as you give yourself marks to mount it up. The double thread stand comes together like this with the eyelet arm at the top and the thread holder arm in the middle. I like to place that just below the junction in the tower. And you'll locate that in the through hole in the corner of your table and secure that with the included hardware. And finish things up by adding your sewing drawer. Well, that just about wraps things up for assembly on the 206RB-5. Wasn't too bad if you just take it step by step. Go have some fun with your new machine.